Hey guys, it's Faye and this is Day with Faye. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Jeffree Star and Morphe Brush and Makeup Sponge collaboration. This is my 100th video, which is super exciting. I never thought that I would hit 100 videos on Day with Faye, but here I am and I am so happy. If this is your first time to my channel, hello, I hope you are doing really well and I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already, because it means a lot to me. Before I forget, timestamps are in the bio below for when certain brushes and sponges begin. I got you guys. I do this whole makeup look with the brushes and the sponges, so let's get cracking. Hello bare face, how are you? Okay, so first off, I want to start off with packaging. It is very, very cute. I actually was like, should I do my pink background or pick one of my other ones? But I was like, yo, I'm reviewing Jeffree Star. I definitely need to have a pink background. So I was like, I don't care that my last beauty video was pink. So anyways, super, super cute. I like the eyes. It's like Jeffree Star is stalking you. And the makeup bag that it comes with is definitely super high quality. It's definitely really rigid, but it's super cute. I like that it's see-through, but it also has that hint of pink up in there, so that's cute. So here are the 7 brushes. They're in their packaging, which is good because that just means it's sanitary. Okay, so I'm definitely absolutely keeping this because it brings me a lot of joy. One thing that's been really hard when I travel is like, how am I going to bring my makeup brushes with me? So this is extremely long enough and appropriate enough of a length for my makeup brushes. And here are the beauty sponges. Now, I'm personally a huge fan of beauty blenders. They're my favorite. The moment that I encountered a beauty blender was like the moment that it changed my foundation life. But I do know that there's foundation brushes up in here, so I think I'm gonna do one half of my face with the beauty blender and the other half of my face with the brushes. Now, I am definitely not as savvy with the brushes method as the beauty blender, because when the beauty blender started to have its craze was when I started to get more into makeup. And I really admire Jeffree Star. You know, he went from nothing to something amazing and extraordinary. And it's definitely really inspiring, and I hope one day to have an empire like he does. I think that if I were to have an empire, it wouldn't really be makeup. I think it's gonna be like skincare. Okay, I digress. First impression immediately is I love this color. It's super, super cute. It's that baby pink color. I also love the divots in the makeup sponge. It makes it easier to put like baking powder or whatever under your eyes, on your jawbone, whatever. Okay. So let me wet these bad boys and have them enlarge. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna start with the beauty blenders because that's what I'm most comfortable with. And for whatever reason, I always like taking off my rings when I do makeup because I just feel more comfortable. So that's why I am ringless right now. Okay, so I have half of my face with a beauty blender. This is just the big one. This is for mainly just like putting your first foundation set on. You got it. It's definitely more sturdy than I'm used to with the beauty blender. Like with the beauty blender from Beauty Blender, it's definitely much more malleable under pressure, whereas, why do I sound like I'm in a science project? But it does apply really nicely, and I am really big fan, especially like I can't wait to put setting powder on because this is just ingenious and I love it. It definitely does do the trick and I like it. And I just kind of want to compare what they look like. This is when I wet it and this is when it's completely dry. Next up, we have the S1 makeup brush. Now I want to say that this is super beautiful, super high quality. It feels really amazing to hold. I personally really like the handles. It makes it easier to use at different points of the brush. So I am terrified. I rarely do foundation with a brush. So don't hate on me on how I apply it. I'm just doing this because I want it to be as thorough as possible. But let me just run my hand through it. It feels so amazing. It doesn't shed at all, which is something that is kind of a thing to worry about when you get brushes that are a really good deal in price is that they'll sacrifice like the quality, and therefore you get brushes that shed a lot easily. But this does not. This is super high quality. It feels amazing. So time to put my foundation up in it. So a couple things to know. I absolutely love how this feels against my skin. It feels really nice. One thing that I note with brushes is that sometimes they'll feel extremely hard and like abrasive against my skin, but this feels like the Kleenex Puffs tissue version of brushes. Super soft. I love it. Between the Beauty Blender and brush, for me this is quicker. But for this looks a little more natural for my skin tone. It might depend on skin tones, you know what I'm saying? I definitely lean more towards the dry side. So I think that having like a wet kind of surface really helps like quench the thirst of my skin, if that makes any sense. I am a huge fan of them, and I think that if you definitely lean towards foundation brushes, this is awesome. I loved it, and I don't even really like putting on foundation with brushes, but if I had to pick between the two, I'm definitely gonna pick that Beauty Blender because that's just my preference, you know? Let me go a little bit up and close and personal. So here's the line. This is Beauty Blender, and this is foundation brush. Now, I think that they look very, very similar. If you look super close, which I really can't do unless I get my macro lens on for you guys, but like, I want you to know my skin like that, and I don't think, frankly, I wanna know my skin like that right now at the moment. All right, so now I'm gonna put some concealer on with this baby. Again, I'm gonna try to keep Beauty Blender this side, brush on the other side. My makeup style is usually extremely minimalist. I always like it to look like I'm not wearing makeup. That's just my preference. I am going to use some setting powder and bake a little bit. I want my review to be thorough. And I figure why not, I'll just bake up here too. Okay, now while that's baking on this side, I'm gonna do the other side with the brush. So I'm gonna be using JS2, which is mainly for powders. Setting powders is what I'm gonna use it specifically to bake under here and up in here. Time to use that baking powder. Woo! So right off the bat, you definitely do not need as much product for the powder. And if you do, your shirt is gonna look crazy at the end of it. All right, so I feel like it's been enough time, so I'm gonna use this same brush to just dust off both of the setting powders. Okay, so honestly, I'm not a huge setting powder fan. Just because I have dry skin and setting powder usually doesn't agree with my dry skin. I definitely feel, again, because I have dry skin, I like the application more with the Beauty Blender than with the brush, just because at whatever reason, I feel like my skin adheres to the wet surface. It makes it less dry. I still suggest getting this brush if you do end up using the sponge route, just because it's easier to dust off the setting powder. But if you have a brush that you gravitate towards, you could also use that to brush it away. Okay, next up, I'm gonna be using the JS3 for contouring. So Jeffree was saying that he really likes using this for the nose. I typically don't contour my nose, as I'm sure most of you know, but for the sake of this video, I am going to do it and also contour that like 3. So I would definitely use this more on small areas, just like your nose. I think that this is really good for natural look, which is my cup of tea for sure. You can definitely build up your look to look more dramatic, but I would say that for the 3 area, it is a little too small to kind of just like buff it out without like kind of doing a wrist workout. But I think if you do like under the chin and you do like the nose area, it looks fine. I still think that this is a good winner if you do contour in your nose, and if you don't, then I would just say you could probably skip out on this. So now I'm gonna do the brows next. So this is the JS7 brush. It has a spoolie on this end and an angled brush for doing your brows. My brows are pretty crazy right now. I haven't got them waxed. I'm gonna get them waxed soon. So I definitely love how comfortable that this glides on my eyebrows. I think that this is really good at making hair-like strokes for sure. And using the spoolie at the end was just really, it just felt really creamy and nice. The next thing that I'm gonna do is highlight, and this is with the JS4. So I like this definitely as a highlighter because, again, I like to have that more natural look, and you really can control the amount of intensity each highlight is. I kind of went a little bit intense on my nose because I was like, oh, let me see if it's buildable. Yeah. See? I know it's hard to tell because I have like translucent skin. Now with the JS5, this is more of like a crease shader brush. Wow, it definitely like carries that pigment and is able to glide really smoothly on my skin. Okay, I definitely liked how that felt against my skin. It felt really nice. This used real hair versus synthetic hair. One of the hairs came kind of like out of place and unruly on the brush. So that's kind of a shame. I wish that it was a little bit more kept, but it's not like it's shedding out. It still stays in place. Okay, and now I have the JS6, which I'm gonna mainly use for my lid and my corner highlight. I sprayed some Fix Plus just because I kind of wanted more shine and glimmer to my eye look. And with the corner, I'm just gonna use the other side of the brush and blend that baby in. Yeah, this definitely blends super nicely. Okay, next up, I'm just gonna add a couple of things to my look just to finish it all up, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So this is my final makeup look. My thoughts are definitely, I love the sponges. They're definitely more sturdier than I'm used to, but I think that with each use, it's just gonna get softer and softer. I think that if you have dry skin, I definitely recommend going more the sponge route versus the brush route, but if you have combo to oily skin, definitely go the brush route. My favorite brush out of all of them is definitely the eyebrow brush with the spoolie and the angled brush. I think that it felt amazing. I think my next second favorite is definitely the eye ones, just because they smooth so beautifully. It definitely blended so nice. And I also really like the makeup sponges just because they have that little angled thing that you could use for contouring or for setting or baking, all that jazz. The brushes definitely felt super soft against the skin. I personally love them. I think that if you are a first-time buyer of makeup brushes, you definitely should get this because it is a good kind of starter kit for anyone. You know, for me personally, if I was gonna buy this again, knowing what I know now, I think that I would get, you know, because the set is just such a good deal versus buying individual brushes that I think I still would have done the same thing. But if I could get the same deal on everything, I think that I would just get the sponges, the eye brushes, the highlight brush, the eyebrow brush. Yeah, I would probably skip out on the foundation and concealer brushes just because I'm more of a sponge girl. But nonetheless, I give positive feedback on this collection. I think it was really well done. I absolutely love the ends of the brushes, super cute. So I definitely recommend getting your hands on this once it comes back in stock, which I don't know when, but when it does, just keep your eyes peeled and buy.